are we getting to the point where if Ty Gibbs does not get a finish in the top 20 next weekend at Las Vegas, a mile and a half oval, where we know this is the majority of the schedule, does it get to that point where Joe Gibbs has to be like, what's going on?
So I went back to last year's spring race here. For Ty Gibbs, he finished third. And today he was not a factor at all. Um, I'd be a bit concerned. I personally am very concerned because Ty has done well at this track before. He obviously got a top 5 last spring. He, has performed well here in the past and at tracks similar to it. And yeah, that's too. I mean, obviously today was a mechanical failure, but like he was never part of the main drivers up at the front. I did mention earlier he had kind of wheeled his way back into the top 10 there for a bit, and he looked on pace to have a solid like top 15 run had his brake rotor not failed, but that's just not how it happens. And sometimes when you're having a bad day, well, it rains, and then sometimes it continues to pour. And that's what's happening here. For Gibbs, I mentioned it in our pre-race show on Thursday last week that a lot of this, to me, has to do with him having a rookie crew chief and them kind of ironing everything out. And, my wonderful co-host Jackson Todd did mention that, his 100th start is coming up. So that's still something to monitor. And we haven't seen any of these teams tackle a true intermediate track yet because Atlanta is the same length, but it's not run the same. So it'll be interesting to see how the 54 team bounces back from that race. But I'm going to be honest, if they can't put a top 10 run together next week, I'm probably going to start screaming. I'm going to start sounding the alarms because that these are tracks that Ty has statistically performed well at in the past. And I think even you mentioned he had a great run last spring in Vegas. And if he can't put it together before the end of this month, you got to start looking at your Xfinity crew chiefs to see who might be able to come up and maybe fill in or, I don't know, offer some sort of expertise or something, because the cars that Tyler Allen is shipping out there for Ty Gibbs are clearly not handling the way he'd like them to or driving the way he'd like to. So I don't know. Something's got to shake over there soon, whether it's shaking up into good results or shaking up the lineup over there. So it'll be interesting to see how JGR proceeds, but first 4 races not look good. You've got one team that has won practically every race or has been in contention to win every race, and then you have somebody in the basement who has hardly finished any of the races. So yeah, quite the dichotomy right now going on at JGR.
With Ty Gibbs, it's getting to that point where I know it's so easy to say, oh, we're early in the season. Well, the next race weekend is the 5th race of the year. After Vegas, we're now at the 6th race of the year. That gives you just 20 race weekends. And 20 may seem like a big number, but let's be honest, there's still some, I call them the sleeping giants waiting to get a win. Kyle Larson, we know he's going to get a win.
Ryan
You
Blaney.
got Ryan Blaney, the Penske drivers. Fellow Joe Gibbs driver, Denny Hamlin, he could have gotten that win today. You're going to have the surprise winners at Talladega. I don't think you want to leave one of your teammates to be in the situation where, well, hopefully you do good at Talladega. We don't want that. It's just, I really will be starting to think, if I was Joe Gibbs, like, okay, are we missing something in this 54 team? Is it the chemistry between the crew chief and the driver that we need to work on? Is there just something about the car that is just, maybe we adjusted that is just not working? Now, granted, some of it is bad luck. Ty Gibbs has not been in the right place at the right time, but qualifying has not been his friend either. So it'll be really interesting see what happens with Ty Gibbs, that team, because before you know it, we're gonna be in the summer stretch.